Back to another Askari cast. My name is Rod Van Blake, author of the Ancient Illumination series and the Umbani Chronicles. I am joined once again by Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
He's a graphic illustrator, creator of the Eve of Insurrection and Eve of Reclamation comics, as well as the illustrator on the Ancient Illumination graphic novels and soon to be released the Umbani Chronicles comic coming out soon. Also, we have with us once again Andrea Rose Washington.
Hello.
She is the author of Adlithia, Elendil, and Almond Tree's Magic, and I believe she has some sequels coming out too soon, right?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's dropping tomorrow? Tell everybody.
The sequel to Elendil is dropping tomorrow.
Hey.
An email and everything's already ready to be posted.
Time to go.
Cool, awesome.
So if you all like sci-fi and fantasy, you can check out my books, check out Jordan's comics, as well as Andrea's collection of books coming that are here and coming out. So go ahead and give those a read and let us know what you think. Today, we are taking a lighter affair. We're going to talk about Miss Marvel on Disney Plus, starting with the first episode 1, Generation Y, which we are introduced to this new version of Miss Marvel because she's from the comics from years prior. It's a good feel for me. It's an intro that comes on. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it yet, there are 2 episodes currently. We're only talking this first one. The beginning of this show kind of gave me an Into the Spider-Verse vibe with the music, with the weekend as the episode begins.
Yeah.
That song and the cool graphics and narration.
Animation. I was like, this is cool.
It's by a teen. You know, Kamala's a teenage girl in high school. Obviously a mega Captain Marvel fan, and she's got this cool little, I think it's like YouTube video that she did. She drew up all the little graphics with, so it's kind of low tech, but it's a cool vibe to me.
Better than what I could do.
Yeah.
Hey, it's this new generation. They can pick up tablets at 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Like,
do
what did you
amazing
just say?
Like, how did you do that?
Yeah, it starts a baseline. She kind of gives her perspective and also kind of bridges the gap between if this was like where you're freshly, if you didn't see Endgame and all that happened in the MCU, it kind of gives you a brief like summation of what happened. And we find out that she learned through everything through Scott Lang's podcast. Apparently, Ant-Man had a podcast.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
And that's so on brand for him to like be interviewed and to spill all the secrets. That's
So this is what happened, guys.
Yeah. That was interesting because that does kind of give a kind of a perspective on how everybody knows like what happened. You know, because like everybody wasn't there when the snap happened to know that was what resulted in half the world's population being dusted, and then the events that come after when they re-snap them back, and like all y'all wasn't there. So how does everybody just automatically know?
You're right.
Well, it connects a lot of dots, I think, for both the audience that's watching this show, and I guess in a way for the people if you're living in that universe, because everybody wouldn't just have this knowledge readily available to them on why Iron Man or how Iron Man died and all the other stuff. So what do you guys think? The opener.
I'm so thankful we're doing this one. I needed something lighthearted. But like also still in the Marvel universe. I agree that the opening and the beginning was great, a great little recap, because I do feel like Marvel is sort of setting themselves into a universe to where people to like catch up, you really have to watch days, like, and like it's literally now days worth of content to get caught up. And so I did like how it was a brief, quick, this is where we are and this is what happened. And like, even though she left out so much, and it was still just a quick little, and here we are today. She's adorable. I love the family dynamic. I can definitely resonate, like the teen in me, the teen girl that I was, resonates with being the teen daughter of of having an older brother and just being like, this is not fair. So I'm enjoying it. I was actually a little upset when the episode ended. I think in the past has been with some stuff has just been like, oh, thank God it's over. Versus, oh wait, no, I need some more. Come on, give me some more. That's why I asked you guys, are we doing 1 and 2 or just 1?
Yeah.
I wanted to move on.
Got to try and stretch the content out. Mom and pops are portrayed as basically a slightly modern, but obviously still heavily traditional Muslim family. I think it was kind of important without demonizing them, as usually that's kind of portrayed, and that to me kind of speaks to the relatability. Because before I actually watched the show, I saw a bunch of complaints from what I saw was a lot of older people watching, wanting, like we've discussed with other content we've talked about, wanting exactly what came from the comics to be depicted here, and saying like, oh, I can't relate to this. And I found that kind of odd, because despite the fact of me being male, being older than Kamala is, this is really just a coming of age story of her, being a daydreamer, a non-athlete. I mean, I can't really speak to that because I was an athlete, but she's awkward, non-assertive, nerd. Like high school.
I relate to her. I'm just not a woman. Like, I'm not a woman nor am I Pakistani, but
my point was that no matter what your situation is, I think everybody on the planet, for the most part, there are lots of exceptions, but for the most part, knows what it's like to be an awkward teen trying to make your way in the world and figure things out.
It's the ultimate underdog.
Yeah, they're depicting all of this. And I thought it should appeal to a lot of people despite the differences. And I think if you're just coming into a show nitpicking at all the differences that you can't relate to, rather than the things that kind of the intersectionality of the thing, then you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah, personally, I'm really enjoying the show. And like, I don't get all the references, like when they're speaking Urdu and like, but I see connections and ties to like being a part of a family, being the awkward one, or just like these kind of dynamics, like seeing the relationship that Kamala has with her mother always like hits hard, because like it's always that awkward dynamic between a mother and daughter, and the daughter is very rebellious, and it's like conflict, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be rough, but still, like her dad's also it's also really funny, and like and just kind of, he's the cool one clearly, but I don't, there's like, I'm not from that life, but I can see like a parallel there. There's like no reason not to be like, I'm gonna call you racist if you're just being like, what is this? Or you just not like, how can you not connect with that? If it was a white person, you'd probably be all over it.
But I mean, even if they were a white person from like a heavily Christian family that had strict, you know what I'm saying, like regulations over how they should act, the decorum they're supposed to hold up, and how what they want to look like from the outside, there's still parallels that can be drawn there, even if it's not the same flavor that you get from that. You have parallels that they could relate to.
And I just have to say, from a quote unquote rebellious daughter, she's not rebellious, she's finding herself. And the issue is her mom wants her to be how her mom wants her to be. So she's rebellious because she's her own person, versus, no, mom, like, it's like, who are you? I'm me. You want me to be you. And like, that's how the mom is. Like when they talk about the girl who went around to Europe, and it's like, they're all demonizing her.
Yeah, they were roasting her up.
For following her dream. And it's just like, no, she's not a bad person because she's not fitting into the box you placed her in that she never asked to be in. So she's not being a rebellious teenager. She's finding herself, and she's finding, and her family's finding, that they don't mesh together. And so they're calling her rebellious and bad. Like the guy was like, oh, she's a bad one. No, she's not.
Yeah, she's trouble. It was funny.
Yeah. No, she's not, dude.
Yeah, this show is like also a good parallel to the changing of times in that way. When I'm looking at how things were when I was in high school, and I could see Mr. Wilson to me is like so now. He's probably the counselor you would get in high school. He would try to be really cool with you, try and be a friend. Like, don't call me Mr. Wilson, call me Gabe. My dad was Mr. Wilson. I mean, and then he's like, oh, wait a minute, his name is Gabe too. It was just kind of like, yeah, I can see that happening now because that's not the way the counselors were when I was in high school. And what's up with Bruno?
What? Why do you say it like that? What do you mean?
Because my boy seems to have like a crush on her. He's the type, I think, when they get older, he's going to be the one that she's not paying attention. Yeah, not paying attention to him, but he's going to change her tires and oil and take care of the car whenever she needs it, and she's just going to go about her way. And he seems to be like almost like a dollar store Tony Stark because he's going to set up this little Zuzu security system. And where's my boy's parents at? He's like some latchkey kid with no parents. We don't see his parents.
Hey, we don't need.
And so it is mentioned that he doesn't have the best parental relationship.
Oh yeah,
he does try to like use that as a factor why her parents should let her go. And you can tell that her family cares for him because the mom. I'm still, even though I know it was movie TV magic. How did she get that food that packed up that quickly for him? Yeah. Are you going to stay for dinner? No, I can't. Okay, I'll pack something for you to go. And then 2 seconds later, here you go. And the spicy stuff is at the bottom. Wait, no, like literally that was like 2 seconds. How did you do that?
And I loved how he mentioned it.
Yes. I love Bruno. I definitely get the vibe that he is stuck right now in the best friend corner. But at the same time, I feel like they both friend zoned each other because there was a scene where it looked like they were both about to kiss, but then like they both sort of changed the subject. I don't think that they're ready, like mentally ready to like change that that definition of themselves because he cares about her, she cares about him, and there really was a scene where they were about to kiss, and it felt like they both sort of changed the subject.
Can y'all walk me through this? What scene?
They were like on the rooftop talking.
Oh, they were just talking, and
but there was a scene where it did look like they were in that scene. It did look like they were about to kiss. And
my boy is friend zoned. He is. There's a one way street
really,
right
though.
now.
I don't really like that tone. I don't like that word, friend zone.
They're friends.
But he is.
They're friends.
But
y'all.
he is.
I don't think he's
because if he wants to be in a relationship with her, then he does not need to be her friend if he's just waiting to date her. That's not fair because either you're a friend or you're not. So
my boy is, and he's securely there.
They're both friends. And
he's scheming, Rod. He's scheming, Rod. Is that what you think? He's scheming.
I don't think
he's not. No, I don't think he's scheming. I think he has feelings, but the vibe I get from Kamala is not the same vibe I get in the reverse from Bruno to her.
Is a relationship in the forefront of her mind? No. Right now, her biggest worry, because this also sort of showcases how they have different worries in their life, because she has a lot of cultural stuff that she has to deal with. And he's like, just ask your mom. Your mom's really cool. She's going to say yes, because he doesn't get, it doesn't work like that for her. Like it could work like that for her brother, but it doesn't, she doesn't get the same, she doesn't get afforded the same abilities. And like literally as a girl who is the youngest, who's the only girl, it is a lot different when you're the only girl and then you're the youngest in a family that sort of sticks to what is like what a girl is supposed to do, how like where
gender roles,
all the gender roles. And so right now, relationships is not on her mind because she's focusing on trying to figure out who she is. And
she don't even know what college she wants to go to. She has clearly anxiety about
trying to be Captain Marvel and make her YouTube videos.
What are you, 12? You just want to be Captain Marvel? Grow up.
Out of the shell that her family's putting her in. And then while Bruno is still honestly a great best friend because he makes up for her father, he's learned Urdu, and he really does care about her, it's still, he doesn't really truly get everything that she's going through at all as well. Because for him, he is a white guy living in a Pakistani world with her. Like he doesn't get that he can't, while he can say, oh, I can be in a relationship with you. If she liked him or even thought about it like that, do you think that would happen? Do you think she would be allowed to date him out in public in front of her family?
Respect to all that. But as a person that's been on the opposite end of that spectrum, I know what it looks like. And I know that when the apple of her eye does come, all that stuff will be cast aside in a heartbeat.
Not right now. Not while she's in high school.
Okay.
Like, no, because I've been that girl.
I
And
understand what you're
while
Wait, that
saying.
you've been the girl that wait. Can you
I've been the
elaborate?
girl that's been friends with a guy who's liked him, but I couldn't date. I couldn't date while I was in high school. I couldn't. I got
Hear you.
my first boyfriend that my parents knew about. I was in college, and even then, they didn't like that I was dating.
I
So it
understand all
was
that, but
it.
I'm telling you that it'll in a heartbeat it'll change, and then all that will go out the window when the right person comes along.
But see, that's the thing. It's not that easy because it does look like it goes right out the window, but it's not, because for him, it's just, oh, you like me, date me. For her, the girl who went to Europe, everyone in her town is talking about her. Everyone that she loves and cherishes is calling her a troublemaker. She has to risk. She has to accept that in herself, and then weigh the pros and cons of risking her entire family for something that may not work out just because she likes him.
Okay.
Like, it's a risk versus reward. And granted, while I love Bruno and I do hope that he respects her enough not just to be her friend, and hoping that one day he can hit it, because if that's what is waiting for, then dude, you're not actually a good guy. You're a predator.
It may not even be
I
going.
don't
It may
think
not
we're
be
even
going
going
that. It may
there.
not be going that far though.
I don't
It's
think
not.
it's gonna go there. I
It's
really
not, it's
don't.
not
That's
going
saying,
that
but that's
far.
what a friend zone is. Basically, you're not being a real friend. So I hope Bruno is not like that. I hope he understands that it's bigger.
That doesn't necessarily mean you're not being a real friend. It's
Yes, it
that
does.
you act on things differently when you have those intentions in mind. And if you truly care for the person, then it's
Then you're
not
not
all
friend zoned.
about. It's not all about
Then you're
that
not
thing.
friend zoned. You're just a friend.
You can be friend zone if you have those feelings and the other person has already stopped you and boxed you in there. That's what that means.
No, they just told you that they didn't like you and they just want to be your friend.
Okay. It's almost 50
It's a
years of
fact.
experience that I'm talking
No,
about.
I
It's
understand.
not just one example.
I understand the term. I'm saying the term is wrong.
Okay.
Because it's not fair to blame someone who's not attracted to you. Say, I'm just going to be your friend.
That's not blaming.
No.
Well, some men have a
She
tendency to
wasn't
get really upset in their feelings when a woman has set that boundary with them. And then they like want to backtrack and be like, "Well, I did all this for you." Like,
it's like, well, then
that's
if you
what
did
she's
that because you
responding
wanted to
to.
sleep with me,
Y'all
that
are
was
going
your
in a totally
problem.
different direction. It's not.
Hey, y'all set
We
this up. I didn't even know they
Yeah.
were trying to be in a relationship. I just saw two best friends.
They are two best friends.
They're just two best friends, y'all.
And Bruno understands that right now is not the best time if anything should happen. Because he stopped himself.
We get more cartoon visuals as they conceptualize what they're going to do with her cosplay at this Avenger Con as they're kind of riding down the street, which is kind of
really awesome scene. Really
another thing. And then we see that they got a shipment from Nani, which I'm assuming is the grandmother back in Pakistan. And it's obvious from there that mom's got issues with Nani. She doesn't want to explain. She don't want to talk about it, but there's we've been kind of mentioning it, but there's a clash of old versus new ideals. And Kamala, like we've already kind of discussed it, Kamala's going to have a hard time asking to go to this Avenger Con, and it goes pretty much predictably as we thought it would. Then we have Big Bro kind of step in and says he's going to put in the good word with her, and they agree under certain conditions.
It's annoying.
Yeah, and my girl Kamala just break poor Abu's heart in half.
He came out, and he was into it. He had the great green makeup on. I'm like, yo, your father spent all this time in this. And
he was ready.
Like, there's no big Hulk. There's no big Hulk, little Hulk dad. I'm like, geez.
But because they were wrong.
Poor dad.
They didn't listen to her. They only agreed because her brother said something. And even then, they didn't really care what she wanted. They wanted her to go. They said, you can only go if you go like this, versus, oh, your father's going with you. He's going to take you. And her outfit was not tight. It was not anything. They didn't even stop to see what she wanted to wear. It was, you're going to go, but you're going to go in our way. Knowing if never showed any interest in the Hulk, but now she's the bad person because she doesn't get to go because she didn't go under their strict standards. But would it have been the same thing? Would she been able to do what she want, like what she told them she wanted to do?
Or as a boy?
Captain Marvel. She wanted to do
Possibly
the
not, but
cosplay.
in their eyes, they were trying to make a compromise, and Pops was trying to get enthusiastic about what she was doing, and she was just like, "You're gonna embarrass me." And my boy looked like he was ready to cry.
He was
like, "Oh, got her." I was like, "Oh no."
I had no sympathy for the parents because they were not doing it for their daughter. They were doing it to look good, and they were doing it for their son. They weren't doing it for their daughter. If they were doing it for their daughter, they would have agreed when she asked.
Yeah.
Not when the son was like, "Okay, I'll talk to her. So I'll talk to them," which is like the issue she has is that they don't listen to her. They listen to him, and it's like
it's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah, that was interesting dynamic. Yeah. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back in on the other hand and discuss these ludicrous plans that they come up with to go anyway. We'll talk to you in a minute. Welcome back to the second half of the Askari cast. My name is Rod Van Blake. I'm joined once again by Andrea Rose Washington.
What it?
And Jordan Purnell Jackson.
Hey, everybody.
We're continuing our talk about Miss Marvel, episode 1, Generation Y, and we just finished where Mom and Pops tried to change up the AdventureCon game at the behest of Big Bro, who put the word in for her, but Kamala wasn't feeling that, and after Pops gets his heart broke, he's like, "You're not going," and he walks off. He's about to cry, and then Kamala comes up with this cockamamie plan that they're going to sneak out and do. I thought this scenario was kind of funny to me, the way they illustrated the whole thing out. How they were gonna, I'm gonna go to AdventureCon and stay at home at the same time. I was like, this ain't gonna work. You gonna get caught. We all know this. It's just a matter of how and when.
Yeah,
and it was hilarious. Did you guys notice that the cosplay she's wearing in the dream scenario is much better than the suit she's actually wearing?
Yep. I also loved how when they drove off the bridge and then this like ridiculous jump, I'm like, this is so fun. That's why I really like her character. So I love her character because we get to see her imagination and like kind of her creativity, and it's just it's great. I'm not mad at it. I love it.
It was hilarious. Did anyone believe they were going to stay for just 16 minutes?
No,
because in her scenario,
that was going to take. That was going to take that was going to be a whole 3 hour. Realistically, that was a 3 hour long. We're at AdventureCon, y'all.
Yeah,
it's the whole day.
I just had like, why was it only at night? Like, I was just so
confused. This was this might have been the after party. This wasn't the con after party. I thought
no. They were doing the
they were at the actual convention.
Yeah, they go after the con. It's dark when they pull up.
That should have been the con after party right there. That's what.
Because I just wasn't getting, why were they hosting the con at night? Like, what was the big deal? Like, you don't think there's enough people to where you could like rent out the Javits Center and in New York and just have an all day? Maybe they're just worried that something might pop off in New York because they are living in the Marvel world.
Yeah. Was it just me, or did AdventureCon look like a weird, campy carnival as opposed to like a comic convention?
That's why it looked like a party. That's why it looked like a party to me. That looked more like a aftercon, like some type of party, more so than like an actual convention. I'm like, there are no vendors here.
Yeah,
see a bunch of cosplayers.
But they had like the popcorn place. It looked like they were games play. There was a Drax cosplay out of nowhere, and it just looked. It was dark with like it was lit in certain areas, and it was just all. And the music was weird. It was funny. It was a funny. I was thinking comic book convention, but I guess things would be a bit different if the comic books we had were based on real in-life people and beings that were around at the time. So maybe that would change the vibe of the events we go to somehow.
Because you're also living through like the repercussions of all of it, because you see the sign of Iron Man and Natasha, like, thank you for your sacrifice. And
that's dark, jeez.
Yeah. So like, I guess it is different. She also said this was the first one that they're doing, which is why it was so important for her to be there. So maybe they just don't have the funding. to do something during the day, which I still feel like you would get more people during the day, but neither here nor there. It was cute though how they did Ant-Man's like little setup where they had him so big and then the little fairy at the bottom of his feet. It was cute, but I guess at the same time, like you said, if we're living through this, some people might not remember these events fondly.
Yeah, it might be kind of a morbid event. Yeah.
Like families probably got ruined with the snap and coming back. Like, oh, I remarried. What?
Yeah.
Like
I don't even want to talk about the snap. That's an unspoken rule in this family. We don't talk about the snap.
And the timing of, I know it's a show, but the timing of everything seemed awkward because they were supposed to get there. Well, maybe it was right on time. They were supposed to get there right on time for this cosplay Captain Marvel contest. She goes in the bathroom to slip on these photon gloves that Bruno had made. And he got the dollar store photon light gloves to add a little light magic to her outfit, which she leaves in the bathroom. But it was a cool way to kind of slip in a use for that bangle, which if you've seen the promotional material, you knew that was what's going to kind of activate her power to slip, a way to slip Nani's bangle. And of course, things go kind of awry. And this was kind of it gave me, go ahead.
So, did anyone else clock the mom's reaction to the bangle in the beginning?
Yeah,
she just.
Didn't
she call it trash? Did she? Yeah, that's trash. I was like, whoa.
No. But at first, she wasn't calling it trash. She was saying her mother sent it. Like, it's not all junk. Like, look through it. And then, like, her entire demeanor changed when she saw
the one bangle.
And then she's like,
grandma's a superhero.
Yeah.
She's like, that is junk. And, like, snatched it. It's like, oh, okay, you know what that is and what that does.
Yeah, that's what made me say in the beginning, the first half when we started talking, I said, Mom's obviously has some issues with Nani and everything associated with that prior life from back home. She was obviously, as soon as she saw that, put that up in the attic. I don't want to see that. Get that out of here. And this part to me, when they're at AvengerCon, had a real Disney-esque element to it. Because everything's going well. They're having a good time. She finally puts her full regalia on. She snaps on the bangle with a little bit of help. And then her powers manifest. And just as after putting the bangle on, after dropping the cool gloves, it was like Cinderella, the clock struck 12 because all the crazy stuff just happened. And now she has to leave. She has to break wide and get up out of there.
Can I say that I think her outfit would have been, if it didn't win, it would have definitely been in the top like 5 compared to some of those other girls. Because that one girl was just wearing something you can get off Amazon.
Yeah.
The blonde hair white girl?
Yeah.
The popular girl from high school.
Yeah.
She doesn't even like the Avengers.
What? Why did
you got that off Amazon? There is nothing special about that outfit. You don't have a helm. It was, I will say, I think in the general she would have been in the top 5 anyway. Yeah. But if she had the gloves, probably top 2 or 3. Because I couldn't see everyone's, but from what I did see, I was like, hers was in the top anyway.
Yeah, I like how everybody was freaking out when stuff was shooting out of Kamala's hand, and then like that brief pause, and everybody raised up a cheer, like, "Oh, that was awesome!" It was hilarious because she was freaking out over the cameras at first. They're flashing lights, and she's just sitting there putting her hands up. I was like, "Oh, she's looking kind of awkward."
Do y'all know like what they're doing with her ability? Because I know that they changed it.
It was originally that she's stretchy.
She was an Inhuman or something. Her powers are Inhuman.
Yeah.
Right?
Like her hands used to get they would get really big in the comics, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Right now they're giving her what they're calling is hard light. So she has these hard light, almost like almost Green Lanternish with these but they're tangible hard light constructs that she kind of floats around. She can actually step on the disc that she's creating and stuff. So that's kind of a minor change. I don't know if they're gonna how far they've already veered from what they do in the comics. If she ends up actually being the descendant of an Inhuman or something, I don't know what they're gonna do. But
And do you notice when she puts it on, she kind of falls back? And I want, and
That
she
was a
goes to
cool
this
scene.
alternate world, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm
That
like,
reminded me of Black
is that
Panther.
exactly, and I'm
Yeah.
like, those are ancestors. Like, it's kind of creepy and eerie, but I'm like wondering, like, is she in like a spirit world or some type of like altered dimension where ancestors are, or something? Like, I was just had a lot of questions. Like, I want to see what this universe or this other universe is kind of like.
Because with Moon Knight, they've already connected that the afterlives are all like varied depending upon your heritage. So yeah, that could have been her part of, maybe she was, not Black Panther, but whatever it would be in Pakistan.
It's so purple though. It looked nice.
Yeah. The eyes were kind of weird when
That's what I'm saying.
they had like the glowing eyes that were looking back at her when she, fell back. They're using that visual a lot in the show. She falls back on the bed multiple times, and the camera kind of spins and pans around.
It follows her as she falls at the end of the episode as well.
But this was very enjoyable to me. Like I said, I don't. The people that are complaining, I don't know why they couldn't find anything to latch on to. Because even if you didn't directly connect with a lot of it, there's some crossover, a lot of crossover.
Because what did you say, Andre?
You know why?
Because they want to nitpick. They want the same stuff.
They just want. Yeah, you know why? We know why.
Racism in there.
Could it be?
Don't want to see the diversity.
Just a little, I just don't like change. Okay, then go live in a farm somewhere else.
And not only that, like we've said repeatedly, if you want the comics, you have the comics and other media that you can go to get that exact same story. To me, in order to get you to kind of ingest all of it, you have to have some slight changes, similar to what Jordan and I are doing with my novels and transposing them into comics and graphic novels. It's a slightly different telling of the same story. If you just wanted the book, then only read the book. Don't expand into the other stuff. So I'm of the same mind with this stuff.
That's what I do with Harry Potter. The movies were not amazing, but I live in the universe of the books. Because the books are amazing. And it's like, okay, this is definitely not how you left out so much. But I'm not going to live in that universe. I'm going to live in the universe of the books because that has everything.
You know what they didn't do in this first episode? They didn't introduce whoever her antithesis is going to be right away. Mainly because she's just, as a young kid growing up in high school, she already has enough to kind of deal with.
Life is her antagonist. Yeah. Her mom is her antagonist. That's who the antagonist is. It's her mother.
Yeah, they didn't give us a villain for her yet to foil.
No, her mother is. Her mother is going to
is an obstacle.
Speaking as a daughter, she and her mom are going to have a heart-to-heart, and she's going to explain to her mother that I am not you, but just because I am not you doesn't mean I'm bad and I'm trouble.
We know they're not
her mother's.
I said we know they're going to get there, but just not in this episode. And
there are already going to be issues anyway, because she's obviously going to be seeking
her brother
answers to questions of the origins of this bangle and Nani and whatever else the stuff is involved, especially now that it's latched on to her. She's going to want answers, and I think Moms is not going to want to give them up. She's going to try and shut that down off top. Just like you said, as soon as she saw the bangle in the box, that's garbage. That's junk. Put it up in the attic. And I don't want to have no more discussion about it. That seems to be her go-to move. Shut it down. We're not talking about this no more.
That always works.
Don't talk to me, Beta. Get out of here.
You mean the dismissiveness of parents?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, because that always works. Creates such a healthy relationship.
Technique. I know. So how did you feel when Kamala activated her powers, everything started going wrong? She hit the stupid Ant-Man. And Rod, you said things got really Disney. So there was this very domino effect of she hits the thing.
Yeah.
It rolls this way. The hammer falls down, which actually almost reminded me of Final Destination. So I was laughing at that. I was like,
that was hilarious.
She gonna die? No. If this is another one, she would have died. But when Homegirl got hit with the hammer, I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. And then when she kind of hit the wall, I'm like, is she gonna be okay? This looked like that kind of hurt. I was like,
I thought, that and the Ant-Man helmet.
Damage.
Yeah, is that gonna hit somebody?
So I was just like, lol. So I'm like, this is fun. And then she does her little stretchy powers and catches her. I'm like, cool. This is a chill opening.
Yeah.
to this first episode, but then her getting home is where it gets real, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, we saw
Yeah.
this coming,
Yeah.
but the
My
words.
my only parallel, the reason I say it was Disney is because for that split second where she's shooting the light out of her hand, like Cinderella, she was the belle of the ball. All eyes were on her. The cheers went up, and then like that, as soon as things were going good, say, "Oh, feet don't fail me now. We got to get up out of here because it's about to get shut down." So everybody kind of just breaks wide, and like you said, she makes her way back home, and Bruno helps her get up onto the overhang to hop in her bedroom window. And this really hit home for me because my mama would do the same thing, except for it wasn't in my room. We had this wingback chair that was in the living room. Anytime I was messing up, I could tell all the lights in the house would be off, but this one light in like the living room, and I knew before I even keyed the door that my mom would just be sitting in that chair with the light on behind her, like, you done messed up, right? You know that. Like I was in like Menace to Society at that moment. You done messed up. And so when she hops in, she's huffing and puffing, pulls off her helmet, and mom's just sitting right by her bed, like, I don't even know who you are anymore. I'm like, oh, we knew this was.
Yeah, when she said that, it hurt. I was like, oh my goodness, here you go again, mom, with this idea of who your daughter is, who you want her to be. I'm like, oh,
and
good.
calling her wrong because she's not fitting that ideal.
Yeah, that's
gonna have a heart to heart. It's gonna be tear jerking.
When she said, I was very curious by like, she said, I can't remember all of the line, but it was something in like finding your story and like your identity, and I wonder like, does your mom have like a thing with you kind of idolizing Captain Marvel, who's a white woman, blonde hair white woman, or like does she want her to embrace her culture more? Like,
probably both.
It could be both, and I think part of it's also the stringent ideals of the culture that mom has coming behind her. They have an idealized version of who and what their daughter is supposed to be, what she's supposed to act like, what she's supposed to look like, and when you kind of diverge from that, they're not going to be happy with it. So they kind of, I think with a lot of parents, they try and guilt you into being what it is they want you to be. It's like it's part of your duty. It's part of being in this family and growing up having our name. You're going to have to toe the line and do this our way. And I guess until you can handle things yourself and break our hearts, they're going to guilt you either way it goes. That's part of it. Because you notice she didn't, like a lot of parents, I think, would have like told you you're grounded, and she didn't do that. She went for the emotional.
She went to the jugular with that one. I was like, yo, she doing a lot. This hurts me.
Yeah, it's definitely she's gonna have to give her mom a come to Jesus moment of you have to like accept that I don't have to follow your rules, like of how you expect me to be. Like I'm not wrong because I'm not who you want me to be. That doesn't mean I'm someone wrong. Or that I'm being disrespectful or I'm a troublemaker because I don't fit into that box. So I definitely think they're leading up to a come to Jesus moment between her and the parents.
I think Pops is going to help.
Pops is going to be in the middle.
He's going to be comedic relief.
But he's going to try and help because he tried to soften.
Comedic relief.
He's going to say something dumb in the background like most dads.
He's going to try and he tried to soften the blow when she was like, "What, you don't trust me?" And mom straight away was like, no, we don't trust you. And he's like, "Yes, we do." She's like, "No, we don't." I was like, damn.
See, like the thing is, I think that if like the father went as Hulk and they were like, "Well, let's see your Captain Marvel costume," and then like you can go, but maybe wear looser pants or something. But I think if that had happened, she would be like, all right, fine, just dad, stay like 6 feet away from me at all times. But like, that's fine. So I definitely think her dad is like, he's like losing his little girl because she's also growing up. So for him, it's not the same as the mom as, I need you to be the perfect daughter. He's like, that's my little angel. I want to be part of her life. And she's like, no, you're embarrassing me, which... Again, all parents, you all go through this because you did the same thing to your parents. So why do you forget when you have a teenager?
Exactly. That's what kills me. I'm like, I'm like, mom's clearly did something to get away from her mother, and I'm like, you don't think you're rebelling against you were probably looked at as a rebel, like you were escaping your own mother, but it's like they're reliving a trauma, like that trauma keeps coming back. That cycle, like, oh, here y'all go again. Yeah. Kamal's gonna break it though. She's gonna break the generational curse.
She's gonna marry that white boy
and become
but she's gonna marry him.
Marry a white boy. What is this?
No, that Bruno. They're gonna get together.
They're gonna get together.
As they have either two options. Either they eventually, like in college, because they're not gonna get together now. Like I think
I don't know why we have to do this.
There's too much going on right now for her to like get with him. Yes. Well, if it was just like, they were bystanders in the story, then totally. But because she's about to be a superhero, I think throwing a romance into that, I would be happy if they didn't throw a romance into this, because not all teenage girls need that. Just let her be a superhero. But like in college or after college, I think they're finally going to like wake up and see each other. Or they're going to be like Lex Luthor and Superman. They were best friends.
Crazy.
I'd be mad. That would be wild. I would be a little mad about that if they did that.
But like, it's the option. Like, and he's gonna be evil because he loved her, and he's like, "Well, you didn't love me back." He's like, "Well, you were just supposed to be my friend. Yeah. I didn't know I had to." So it's either they're going to get together. They probably might drift apart, but then get together in college and find each other again and fall in love, or Lex Luthor and Superman.
Can we just take one episode at a time?
It'll be interesting to see what direction they go with this. Thank y'all once again for talking through these things with us. Thank you, the two that are here now, or 3 or 4 that were in the live streams watching us discuss these nerdy, geeky Marvel things. We appreciate your time. Don't forget to check out, also in addition to this podcast, Trekkie and Beyond,
a Star Trek podcast. Discover Discovery with us.
Yeah, going through Star Trek Discovery with Andrea Rose Washington and Monica Pinkett. They are available on Anchor, and we'll be uploading the audio for this as well to Anchor. That's distributed to Google Podcasts, iTunes, and all the other places that podcasts are available. We will see you all next time.
Peace.